Hi guys, welcome to the part one of the Mosaic course for beginners. Going to be doing an hour and a half session today, just to start the Mosaic off. So we're going to be starting the Mosaic. So from the other videos that I've done, you should have all your bits and bobs ready. So you've got your glue, don't get it on the table, PVA glue, you've got your runners, your blue ridge runners with the little ridge on the bottom there that's going to help break the glass. You've got your scoring pen with the little wheel. You've got some oil in the barrel that's going to help it roll across the glass. You've got your wheel nippers. So these are my trusted ones that are a bit old now, but hopefully you've got a lovely new pair. Nice sharp wheels to break the glass. You've got your goggles, your safety goggles, so you need to put those on. Your piece of wood. So again, as I said, MDF wood, hopefully you've got a piece. This is 25 by 25, or you could do 25 by 20. So I'll probably do, I'll do across the whole board. So I'll ignore that. So with the pen, like I've done that with permanent marker. So I've taken my template, drawn around it, so I've got a nice balance, and then I've just embellished the design really. So whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, as long as obviously the wings are the same size, then it's all good. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to do the bordering. So we're going to do the body first, because that's in front of the wings, so we need to do the body first. So we'll cut these three pieces out first, and then we'll do the wings, because they'll run into the body, so we need to have the body in first, so we know the angle that we need to when it hits the body. So just need to grab a piece of glass for the body. I'm going to do black, I think. I'm going to do black body, classic, and then I might probably do, because I've got this red cut down, I'm going to do red on the outside, because it's quite a dark tone. So because this is a dark tone, this is a dark tone, we're going to do a white background, so it'll be nice and clear. So with the body, so I'm looking at the sort of like roughly I'm going to cut a piece using my wheel pen, scoring pen. I'm going to cut a piece that I think is about that width. So again, with the permanent marker, you could use a marker pen and just mark on the glass the width that I need to make this. I'm going to make this one first. So I think, so with this, I hold it like that. Sorry, can you see that? I'm left-handed. Not sure if that'll help you or not. Hang on, let me, there's the camera. I hold it so it stood up. So it stood up quite straight, because I want the wheel, I'm looking for the wheel to connect to the glass. You can angle it a little bit, because you're going to push away, or some people pull it towards them. So you can do it both ways. So I'm pushing away across the glass, and I get a score mark on the glass. Can you see that on the black? Just about. So I'll do another one pulling it towards me. So it's the same principle. If I know where I'm coming and I'm pulling it towards me, I've done it, it's not again. So you can, it's all about practice really. So whether you do it, pull it towards you or pull it or push it away from you, it's whatever you prefer. So these, I take these and I put that, I've used the marker pen to mark my line on my blue runners. And I line that up with the score mark and press, and it breaks. So I've got another line there, so I'll do it again. Score mark, press, and it breaks. Perfect, so I've got these nice bits now that are roughly the right width for the body. So then I'm gonna come across here. So again, I'm looking at roughly the length that I need. So I mark that. Because this is quite a short distance across here, I can just use my wheel nippers and nip that across to break it. Because I just want to get the right length. Want me to do that again? So again, so if it's a short distance, if it's a short piece, you can break it with the wheel nippers. Yeah? So you put the glass between the wheels, the two wheels. And if I want it to go across, I obviously keep my line across straight and I press and it breaks. If I wanted an angle, I would put it at an angle across the glass, and I press, put my finger on the end of the glass there, and it breaks, and I get a nice angled piece. Yes? I should have really mentioned about breaking it down from a bigger sheet, because I think some of you guys have probably bought some bigger pieces, bigger sheet pieces, so you need to get it broken down. So let me just get a big piece, I'll show you that. So this is a bigger piece. So however big your pieces are, you want to break them down into smaller pieces that are more, workable. So again, using your scoring pen with a wheel, put it nice firm base, hold pushing down, and you're going to break it and score across. Some people like to do it freehand. Some people, you can use a ruler. Just put a ruler. So I've had a ruler, because the actual scoring is in the middle of the head, it's always going to be away from the ruler line. So you just need to remember that the actual score mark is not going to be right on the ruler line, but you can use the ruler and hold that against the ruler and push across. Another little thing you could do, if you want nice even pieces, you could mark, say, 2 centimeters and make a little dot every 2 centimeters, and then with your ruler, put your ruler on the dot, or just offset from the dot, and push across. Yeah. So ignore those other score marks. So if I'm working roughly on the dots that I've made every 2 centimeters, I'm going to have even pieces. Let me just see if those, again, just show you those. The bottom one has a ridge on the mouth, You put it in between the pieces. Line the line up with the score and press. Oh! Sometimes that happens, but it can be a good thing because then you get a lovely piece like that. Look at that. A nice curve to a point there. So I think, so you think you actually made a bit of a mess of it, but you haven't. You've actually created a lovely, nice, sharp point there. So you could cut that off where it starts to go curvy. If you just cut that there and put that to one side, you've got a nice piece for somewhere else later. So where it's gone wrong, if I turn this round the other way and come back, then I get another wrong piece. Sometimes the glass doesn't do what it's supposed to. But you know, sometimes you'll get nice happy mistakes. So like this bit, if you can see that, I've got the score mark showing. So if I was to put that into my mosaic with the score showing, when I grout it, that's going to show up. So you can't use pieces that have got score marks in it. But I can use the other side. So again, I've got quite a nice curve point. So again, maybe I'll just keep that piece one side for another day. So, where were we? Oh yeah, the body. So we're doing the body first, aren't we? So I have my piece roughly the right width and length that I want. So what I need to do now is just nibble these corners off so I get a nice oval shape. So this is where bits start to ping off a little bit. So you've got your safety goggles on. So I'm just slowly turning the glass and nibbling the corners. Slightly opening my hand up. So again, remember I'm left-handed. So I've got these facing my other hand. And I'm putting the glass in between the wheels and I'm just nibbling. And I'm just turning the glass round and round, nibbling off the corners until I've got the shape that I want. Sometimes it bites off more than you expect, so you just have to adjust. So again, the better you can get it, the more smoother you can get the shape, the easier your life is going to be when you come to do the background, but round it. So if it's all over sort of not so great, then it's not going to look so great when the mosaic's finished. So the more you can go round and round and round, nibbling those off so you've got no points, sharp edges, the better your mosaic will be. So I don't want mine to be rubbish compared to yours, so I'm just going to concentrate on this bit and just get this right. So I'm just literally just grinding, literally just trying to grind the top edge so it's perfect. And sometimes you overdo it and you have to redo it, you have to take a little bit more off and your piece gets smaller and smaller. Sometimes you have to start all over again from the beginning with a new piece because it will just go wrong, chip off too much. Okay, now I'm going to stop there because otherwise it's going to get too small. Or I could use it in there, could use it in the middle bit there. I've slightly overdone it, so I might change my design slightly and put that piece there. But I need to just smarten this up because it's a bit wonky. Okay. So the bits, I mean, you're going to get little bits flying off. So some people, you could have like a tray to stop the bits. Like I say, they ping downwards. So if you can put some corners or something to stop the bits flying, then you might make your life a bit easier. But hopefully you've got a space to work in. I'm lucky here. I've got the studio, and so there's no one here. Then just have obviously a vacuum up pieces afterwards. So I'll let you sort your own workspace out. So I'm gonna glue that piece there. So I've decided I'm slightly changing my design straight away. So I'm going to put a nice bit of glue on there. You don't have to be precise with the glue, as long as it's a nice even, not too much, not too little. I'm going to drop that into the glue, give it a little wiggle, and that's going to dry in about sort of 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. So, because I've suddenly decided to change my design, I need to cut another bit for the bottom there. So I'm just going to score another bit, roughly the right width. I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to use my breakers, put it in between the wheels and press. So this bit is obviously too long, so I'm going to shorten it. You see that? Now, another little trick that you'll get used to is that when I take a bite, if I turn my hand slightly, I get a bite, and you can see that against it, and then it's got a bit of a curve to it. So you naturally, if you just tilt your hand a little bit, when you cut, you should, with some practice, get a little curve. So I'm going to accentuate that curve by trying to take another bite out of the middle. So again, I'm just biting the middle. Like I say, practice, 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 but slowly your skills will improve. So again, I'm just nibbling, nibbling, nibbling. Put that against the wood so you can see it. There we go. So I'm nibbling, nibbling, and then I get a curve. Now that curve is going to sit nicely against that body bit, because this has got a curve on it, that's got a curve on it, bingo. So what I need to do is just take off these corners, and then I've got my bottom bit sorted. I'll do that. So I'm making the bottom bit. There you go. So I've curved that at the bottom, and then that sits nicely against this piece. Maybe just wiggle that down. I could maybe offset it if I want it. If I don't want it completely straight, I could have my butterfly with a slight twist to him. It's completely up to you. So again, nice bit of glue. You don't have to be precise. Pop it in the glue. The glue helps hold the piece steady because they can get a bit slidey on the wood. So again, if you've got a nice area to glue, like that'll dry without any problems. You don't want any lumps. You don't want to let a lump dry because obviously that will create a bump in your work. So I'm just going to wiggle that in the glue. I'm leaving a little gap in between the pieces. Show you that. See the little gap? I tend to leave a gap of about 1 millimetre, 2 millimetres, and that's going to be even across the whole board. Some people, if the gap's too big, then your design is going to get a bit lost. So don't go for a big gap. Do as I tell you and go for a small gap. You can even push the piece right up, but there's always going to be a bit of grout there as well. So if it's too close, then again it looks like you've made a bit of an error. So I tend to leave a little 2 millimetre gap across the whole board for the grout. Okay. So I'm going to do the head. Now I'm going quite quickly, but obviously you can pause this and rewind and catch up if I'm going too quick. I don't really see and sit and wait for you, but I have no idea how fast you're going. So again, looking at my glass on the table here, I found a piece and I know that I can cut. I'm looking at the size of the head. I'm making a square that's a little, bigger than the piece I need. I'm going to make a square, basic square for the head, and then I'm going to nibble that into a circle. So again, taking my wheel nippers. Where's the camera? Where's the camera? Taking my wheel nippers, my square piece of glass, and I'm just holding the glass. And to begin with, I roughly nibble off the corners to see if I've got the right sort of shape. I don't think you wouldn't do one perfect corner in case you got to the other corners and something went wrong and you took off a big chunk and had to start again. So I've roughly taken off the 4 corners. Have a look, see how it looks. Yes, looks like a butterfly. When you're doing mosaics, small mosaics, we haven't got the room or the size. It's too small to do like eyes and noses and mouths and ears. Not the butterfly. Have they got noses and ears? Don't know. Anyway. So that worked out pretty well actually. I've been doing this a long time, so I've managed to cut a pretty good circle. So I'm pretty happy with that as it is. Got that, nailed that first time. Or the only other option I could do is that I could take a bite out of one end. And like I said before, you get a bit of a curve. You might not, if it goes straight, then just put your nippers in the middle of the 2 ends and just nibble out the middle. So you get a curve. And then again, like we did with the tail, because this piece has got a curve, when we line it up with that, boom, you get a nice head that sits nicely against that. If I put a circle against it, the only problem, well not a problem, but I'm going to end up with 2 gaps, 2 quite tricky gaps, where the 2 circles meet. You're obviously getting like a point. So if I do it this way, it flattens that point out. So again, it will make your life slightly easier when it comes to doing the background. So that's what I'll do. So I'll do that. So I'll put the heads on. Again, do I want a little jaunty angle maybe? Maybe not. There we go. So the head's on. So we've done 3 bits and it's only been 25 minutes. Only 200 to go. So the antennae, should I do the antennae now or not? I suppose I could. I'll do the antennae and then I can show you about cutting thin glass. Sometimes when you cut glass it can be quite chunky, so if you can get nice thin pieces where you need them, then it looks like you've done a finer job, a finer piece of artwork. So again, using your scoring pen, you're breaking down the strips. I'll show you on this rib bit. So I go, say that's 2 centimeters. It's quite a good chunky piece to cut with your scoring pen. Then I would cut that in half. Again, I could have used the ruler there, but I didn't. So I've broken that down into 2 bits. And then do it again. So then this bit, when I split this in half, I'm going to have some quite skinny pieces. But there you go, excellent. 2 skinny pieces. Now you can only go so thin really. I mean, I could try and do this again, but it probably won't work. But we'll give it a go. Again, I'm pushing hard. You know, I'm very muscly, I'm very strong. So I'm pushing, so I'm trying to break that scoring mark on the skinny bit, and I can't. No, it's not enough. No, forget that. So again, like I say, it's very hard to get very skinny pieces. So you can only go down so small. So like this piece, if I can break this in half. So there you go, even that that's broken, but it's not. So that's quite skinny. So you can only really get as skinny as that. So I would say that's probably, I don't know, half a centimetre. So again, when you're doing your design, just bear that in mind, that you can't go ultra fine. Okay, so these antennae, so I could put them straight, like one piece. Or I could break them up into running pieces. So we'll try a bit of both. So we take the skinny bit. So we're going to work out how far I want to go. I put it on the board. I can see that I want it. It's a little bit too long. I'm going to take a bit off the end. There we go. Perfect. And I'll do the same on this one because we want it to match, don't we? We want it to be even. So you just want to make sure it sits against the head nice and tight. You don't have to probably worry about a gap too much because they're antennae, so you want them attached to the head. How's that? Are we happy with that? I've drawn a bit of a curve, but I'm actually going to do these straight because I've changed my mind. Again, just a bit of glue, Boom, boom, boom. Do. Set it in the glue, give it a little wiggle. Same with this one. Boom, boom, boom. Glue, glue, glue in roughly where we want it. There we go. Try and you want them to match evenly, nicely, perfect. Happy, yes, we're happy. And we want two little bits on the end. So again, have a look at your bits. Find two bits that are a bit slightly bigger than you need. And then we're going to, again, holding them by the points, we're going to cut these into circles. So I'm just moving them around, taking off the points. Up. Almost swore there. That one's broken. No good. Start again. A big chip came out of that one, which wasn't going to make it a circle. I suppose I'm allowed to swear on these videos, aren't I? So let's do another piece. We'll go around looking, spotting any, almost ruined it again. We'll make it smaller. Haven't got to be perfect, you know, we're not a machine. But if you can take off the main points, set that on there. So then just doing another one, taking off the points, so I'm roughly happy that they are circles. Yeah, can I live with that? Yes, I think I can. So this one, I mean, it's getting a little bit closer to the border there, so we want to make sure, there's a gap. There's a big enough gap, so I could turn that away. So make sure there's a big enough gap so we can get a bit of background. If this is going to be red, or a colour, whatever colours you have. So if that's going to be red, we don't want that touching the red. So just make sure, again, design that you've got a gap between the antennae and the border, that you can get a bit of white background glass in there. Yeah? Failed to plan, plan to fail. There's one for Margaret there. So again, so there you go. I put my antennae on the end. I'm happy. It looks like a butterfly. People are going to say, wow, who made that butterfly? And you'll say, me. You get your little bits. It might get cut. I can't help that. Please don't sue me. You might get a little bit of glass. Just, you can wear gloves. I've never worn gloves. You could wear gloves if you want gloves. if you want to protect your hands a little bit. But it's nice to feel the glass in your hands. But yes, you could wear gloves if you so wish. Okay. Ooh, what should we do now? So I'm looking at so we're going to do the border. We're going to do the border of the wings, and we're going to do that in a dark colour, because as I said, when we do a light background, it's going to be nice and clear. We've got a grey grout across the piece as well, so it's going to tie it together. So you've got to think light and dark, light and dark. You could have done, or you could do the other way round. So you could do white, say you had a white, you would have to do a white body, or light coloured body, white around the edges, and then you could have done a black background. Sometimes doing the opposite is a really nice feature. So again, just have a think, have a play. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's all practice. So we're going to do, I'm going to do slightly different thicknesses. I'm going to do the top ones slightly thicker, and these ones slightly thinner, just for a bit of variation. You can see that's thicker than that one. So we'll start at the top. So you can see for that piece, because it's got a square end, for that piece to sit nicely against there, I need to take a little bit off. So I'm going to take a bite out of that until I get that sat nicely against the body. And again, if I take another little bite, sometimes you get a curve in the glass. And because this is slightly curved, oh look at that, that's going to sit against there beautifully. You see that? So that sits in there against the body. So this is a long piece. I'm going to cut this into pieces, and then we're going to make that slightly turn for this curve, because it's got a slight curve on it. You know, you could do it fairly, if you want it more straight, but you're doing it how I'm showing you how to do it. So I'm going to break this up into pieces, and then I'm going to make that slightly turn. So again, put the glass between the wheels, put your finger on the end there, and press. So I've done that across straight, and then I'm just going to repeat. So I've got even pieces, roughly about the same size. So I might as well cut this up, and that will cut all that piece up. So I've got 4 or 5 bits there to choose from. Now, to me, even though that's got a slight curve, this is pretty much fairly straight. Like this, where it curves here, this is more of an acute curve, which means we'll have to put an angle on the piece to make it turn. But if it's quite gentle, because you've broken these pieces up, we might need we'll need a slight angle on this one. Okay, forget that. So first one, glue this one on, so we know where we're going. So I'm going to glue the whole area, because I'm confident. If it dries, just re-glue it. So I'll put that piece in to begin with, so I'll stick that piece in there. So this piece, I'm going to turn that piece round. Now, because I cut these from one strip, I know that these pieces are the same width. which is going to make a nice, perfectly formed piece. So if I used a piece, a bit of an over-exaggeration this, but if I've used a piece that isn't the same width, and think, well, I'll stick that there, that'll be alright, that'll do, it's the same colour. It won't, because you've got this corner here sticking out. So when you come to do the background, you're going to have a weird corner with the background as well. So we don't want that, do we? We're better than that. So what you would do is make sure your pieces are the same thickness. And as I said, because this curves, I'm going to put an angle. I'm going to explain the angles to you again in a minute. Can you see this piece? This piece has got a slight angle on it. Instead of being square, show you against that, it's got an angle. So because this square end, when I line it up with that slight angle, it's made it turn. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I'm just going to finish this off a little bit and then we're going to talk about that again. So, I'll just do this. This is about angles. We love angles. Okay. Let's talk about angles. So these pieces, if I'm going along this line here, I want the pieces the same width. So if I was mosaicing along here, look happily, la 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 la, happy, happy, happy. All my pieces are going to be rectangles and they're going to run. See that? Happy, happy, happy. Bish, bash, bosh. So, if I hit a curve, the way the Romans taught us is to put an angle on one end of these pieces and repeat, not both ends. Not different angles on different ends, the same angle on one end. I'm going to write that in big. The same angle on one end. So, because I've got an angle on one end, on that piece there, when I load this piece with because it's got the angle on the one end, and this is straight, square, when I line that up with that piece, it's going to make it turn. Same thing, exactly the same, repetition. It's got a straight edge, it's got an angle on the one end. When I line that up with the angled end of the previous piece, it's going to make it turn. If I go wrong and put the angle on the wrong way, it makes it go the other way. It makes it turn this way. We don't want that. We want it to go the same direction. It's got to flow in the same way. Repetition. I shall be repeating this several times. So can you see that? And because they're all the same shape, beautiful, makes your eye follow the line, and that's what we want. We want, because this is the important bit, the border of the shape, we want it to flow. I'm going to think of different ways of getting that across, because that seems to be, it's hard to get your head around, because your head thinks, well, I've got to match the angles together to make it fit. No. It's wrong. It's got to be repetition. They've all got to follow each other. So that's what I'm going to do around here. So I could actually use those bits. They actually. So here. So I'm going to use that bit there. So as we continue our mosaic journey, these little tips are going to help as well. So when you do your pictures, you're going to end up with ends or points, you know. You're going to have an area where 2 points finish. So just quickly now, the easiest way of finishing off an end is to do a long piece, and then when you lay this next piece, I'm actually laying it. I need a pointy thing. So this line here, this piece, is going to run onto this piece and form the outside edge. Can you see that? I've just put a bit of an angle on it just to make it so it sits better against this. But can you see that? It's a bit dark in here, isn't it? What's that? A bit? Don't know. So I've actually put this piece underneath. My tip is actually on this piece, but I'm using this line is following this piece onto this piece, making the end here. So when you come to where two lines meet, one is dominant and the other one goes in behind it. So instead of having 2 points meeting at the same place, what you're going to have is you'll have a grout line in between the pieces. You'll have a gap, and it won't look as sharp. And you want your ends to look sharp. So you make one dominant and the other one goes in behind. That's what I've done there. Can you see that? I know, I'm clever. Yeah? We're going to come across that again. So we'll go back over that again. So again, in the glue, I've just wiggled that so that it runs. I'm just wiggling these little pieces. Just getting them how I want them. Okay, so then I'm going to come around here with the angle. So again, that bit on there. When you get to a turn as well, you might have to make the piece slightly, because if the pieces are too long, then you're going off of your design. So you might want to shorten your pieces. So you've got smaller pieces when you come to a turn, because if they're too long, they go too far. So you could make them a little bit smaller when they turn. Because you've got the angle, they're a little bit fatter as well. So you want to find a piece that's the right fatness, the right width, and then put a little angle on it. You see that? So I've got an angle, so now this angle is straight to this bit, so I can forget about the angles. And I'm just going to I'm going to cut these out, and we're just going to go straight now, so then it just goes straight. So you only need a couple of angles just to make it turn, so you don't need a lot, so don't overdo it. So then I've not got any glue there. And the dogs are barking. Saturday here today, so there's more people around. Sun's shining. Okay, so just about get away with that. Yeah, so I want nice pieces. Don't want to get to the end here and leave. You don't want to get to the end and leave a silly gap that you need to fit in a little piece. So you leave yourself a gap that's big enough that you can get a whole piece in and it fits. I'm just going to swap those around. This bit is actually like this end is actually a little bit, it's slightly, like I'm talking very slightly, but it's got a bit of a corner sticking out because it's actually fatter. I'm going to get rid of that bit. So you've got to try and find pieces that there's the right thickness, the right width. You get glue on the glass, it comes off, don't worry. So you've got to get, you can turn them, you can turn them till they work. I'm going to find a new bit. So I'm going to find a bit that's going to go all the way to the end here. So that bit's alright, but it's got an angle on it, so I'm just going to take that angle off. Look at that, and then that fits. Yeah? Also, send me any questions or queries. You can see that the glass, slightly different shades of red. This bit's a bit lighter, these bits are a bit darker. So these, I'm looking at these, this all flows, these ones, they're all the same width. And because they're all the same width, it's going to make it easier to do this shape here. Okay, so we want to do, because this is a butterfly, we want to do roughly the same over here, so it matches, the same sort of thickness. Don't have to be exactly the same number of pieces or exactly the same shapes, but roughly, we want it roughly the same. So I want roughly the same sort of thickness. So I'm going to cut these into 4 or 5 pieces. Because they're from the same piece of glass, I know they're roughly going to be the right thickness. So on this first one, I know I need to put an angle. So it sits against the body. Here's Viv. I just want to say hello to everyone.
Yes.
How's it going? Hello everyone.
everybody. Can I speak?
No.
That looks nice.
Yes, yes, we're cracking on with the butterfly. It's been 55 minutes we're in now, so do another half hour and get the wings done.
Come on, doggies, out.
So we're going to take off the corner with an angle so it sits against the body. Can you see that? And then we're going to go up there. So put a nice layer of glue, but we don't want it bunching up again in between the pieces because it will dry and you won't get your grout in. Okay, that's that one. As I said, maybe a very slight angle on one end because it turns slightly. So I've done a slight angle on there. I can see this bit's already got a slight angle on it, on that end. Can you see that? So again, on the same far end, sort of just fudging my design a little bit, just so it's even. Same again, angle on one end, and then I want an end piece. So look, I just happened to see that bit. I think that's when we scored it and it went wrong, but you end up with a lovely sharp point. So I could use that there. How's that? It's a bit long, isn't it? It's too long. Maybe there. Maybe I could have it like that. But you can see it's got a corner sticking out there, so I need to reduce that down. So it's the same width as these pieces. I'm actually a little bit short of my guideline, but I think if I go like there, I think that's going to be too long. Maybe I should, because I'm a teacher. Maybe I should just correct that a little bit. So if I want that to reach that end there, I would probably think I might have to replace that bit for a longer piece. There you go. So I put a longer piece in there. Okay. Yeah, I think I can just about live with that. Yeah. So this piece, I like that piece because it's got a nice finish to it, and it's got a piece, like we can put a piece underneath there, so we can start from underneath there and line that up with this line to make that run. Did that make any sense? So I've got that longer piece is going to be my dominant one. This one is my dominant one, and then this, when I start under here, that's going to tuck in there. But that, when I line it up, will form the outside of that line there. I'm going to put some glue here. So I need, that's okay, because I can see this is turning this way, I'm going to put a slight angle on the end because I know that it's got to turn. So we're going to do the same as we did over here. Angle one end, smaller piece when you get to the tight turn, one more smaller piece round this corner, and once you're around the corner, because I've got the angle, it's now straight. You only need, you know, if I was to put another angled piece, it'll be too much. So if I put another piece with an angle on it, it's going to turn, and then when you put the next bit, it's turned too much. You've overdone it, you've over-angled it. So you only need a couple of angles just to get around the turn, and then you go back to straight. Glue, glue, glue. So I'm looking for a piece that's the same width, same thickness. And I just want a square rectangle bit. And I'm just going to do 3 or 4 along here. If I haven't got any more, then obviously I need to cut them. So that will do. It's the right width. So leaving a gap, don't leave a silly gap. Don't leave, you know, a tiny bit where you're sticking a bit in. That bit's that's a bit too close. Again, because you've got the glue, you can just wiggle the pieces so they line up. This piece I need to adjust slightly. So I'm just making sure that the widths, the thickness of the glass matches. Again, this one. Sometimes if you just turn the piece over, the other side just looks better and fits better. So that just happens to fit better. If you get glue on the glass, it will come off when we grout, because it's PVA glue, so it's water soluble. So just let it dry, and then any bits will just pick off when we finish it. Try not to get too much glue on your glass. So there you go. You see that? Brilliant. Perfect. So if these pieces dry and we're not happy, we can get them off. So if they do dry and go hard, you can prise them off if you want to change them. So sometimes they look different once the glue dries. So if you're happy, if you've got them all lined up, let that dry and we'll see where we get to. So I'm just going to do these bottom bits, and I'm going to do them in slightly thinner glass just to make it a bit different. But it's all the same sort of principle. So I'm going to cut them into. So I had that thin bit already cut. I'm going to break these into roughly the same size. So I am happy and confident, so I'm going to glue that bit, glue that, we're going to come down here. We're going to make a point at the end, and then this bit is going to tuck behind the point like we did here. So you have a dominant piece. This is going to be a dominant piece first. So find a bit that sits nicely against those pieces there. Again, it's got a slight turn to it, so I need to put an angle on this one end to make that turn inwards. So that's make the next one just turn inwards a little bit, and then it actually goes that way and then comes back again, which is a bit or pain. So I've done the same angle on the same end, so this is coming, and then we might just turn it at the end. I might pretend that that didn't happen. So again, I've just put an angle, so these ones had a slight angle on this way, and then this one I've changed it. So again, so I've put an angle there, and then I'm going to make a triangle. I'm looking to see if I've got a nice end, like a nice sharp point. See that? That's pretty good. But what I need to do is just take off that corner, just to make it match the lines. This could have been straight, but I've just made it wiggle a little bit, because we can. Yeah. So I don't want, it was looking a little bit gappy, so I don't want it to be gappy, because it's quite important that it's not gappy. Don't make it gappy. Whatever you do, don't make it gappy. It's better to be closer on the important things like bordering. It's better that the pieces are closer together, because then it's going to make it look sharper. So what I'm doing, because I wanted it to be a little bit longer, I've just broken a piece up in half. Because I want to stretch it out a little bit longer to make this to make this line a touch longer. I've just taken a piece off and cut it in half and spread it out. Just that extra millimetre makes that line just an extra little bit longer. So for me, looking at that, I would say this is pretty straight. So we haven't got to worry too much about the angles. The main thing we've got to worry about here is the end piece against the body, and then a nice bit to sit against the end here, but to match up with this line. So I'm going to cut an angle from there and put that there. So again, can you see that this one, the end one, is the dominant one, and then this line matches with this angle here to make the line there. Amazing. And then I'm just going to do a few more pieces to the end there. Again, you'll work out how long the pieces are. If they're too long, then your mosaic will look it won't look good. So smaller pieces, mosaic is obviously small pieces. So I've put a couple in there. So now I'm looking, I don't want a funny little gap. So I'm going to take a longer piece and I'm going to put it on the glass there. And then in my mind's eye, I'm trying to imagine the angle that I need. It's going to be quite a sharp angle to sit against that body. You can use your pen and draw it on if you will help, but if you can imagine the angle that I need to make that sit against the body, it's quite sharp, so we'll give it a go. Give it our best guess to begin with. Just clean it off. It's quite sharp angle. Sharp, mind your fingers. Well, that's going to sit there. Just happens to be correct first time. Yeah. Happy, happy. Again, just wiggle, 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 wiggle the pieces. If you're happy with them, I'm not just about happy with that. That's a bit straight. It could have been straight really, it doesn't need to overcomplicate it. Because we need to sort of replicate that on this side. So I'm going to try my best to do the same on this side. I'll cut some pieces up, use this piece, cut this up into pieces. Again, I'm taking a bite out of this end because I know I'll get a curvy piece. Because I know, looking at it, I can see that this is, because this has got a curve, if I do a curve, it will sit nicely against that. This turns a little bit like that. It turns inwards, so I need a slight angle on the other end. So on this piece, I've actually got angles on both ends because I've got to set it against this angle, and then I've also got it coming this way. So it's a two-angled piece. When I say angles, you know, they're very, very subtle, very shallow, subtle angles. Don't overdo the angles, otherwise it'll be too much. You'll be turning, it'll be too angly, too much angle, and then when you line the next piece up, it'll be going too much. So this, even though I'm saying angles, it's very subtle, very, very subtle. So I've put a bit more of an angle on that end because I want a nice end to finish like this, like going outwards. So I'm looking for an end piece. Like that. I'm seeing if it's roughly the same, got the same size. I think it's just about there. Maybe move it in a touch. Okay. So the next one, I can just work that against that piece. Hang on. Glue, my favourite saying, which I think some of you have probably heard, glue as you go. Forgot that saying. I haven't taught here for a year and a half now, so I've forgotten all my old sayings. I'm sure they'll come flooding back to me. But glue as you go. There's no point putting the pieces on without any glue because you have to move them off and put them back. You're doing it twice. It's taken an hour and 15 minutes to do this. So, glue as you go. The glue helps hold the pieces steady. It helps you get the right angle. There's no point having the pieces moving around because you won't be able to judge the angles. So glue as you go. Glue as you go. Love glue as you go. So I'm putting that there again, just to go over it. So this line matches up with this angle we put on the end piece, and then this one's dominant, this one goes behind, and you get a nice point. So gentle pieces. That one's a bit fat, got this quite thin. I want to try and match them up. I'm going to have to cut a piece with my scoring pen to get another piece, to get a width similar to the same width, so I'll just quickly score that. I'm just going to use this to So I've just cut some that are similar width over here. Put a piece there. One more piece in there. And then I've got to do my angle piece. So again, I haven't got as much gap this time, so I want a piece there and then a sharp angle across this one. I want it to match this side, so I've pushed it up a little bit. That's made a gap here, so I'm going to have to redo. I'm going to redo this piece. I'm going to make that bit a shorter piece, and then I'll get another piece in there. Okay. Wow, there we go. So that's the bordering drum. Wow, just right. Tidy as we go. Stand people that make a mess. There's my template. Remove these bits. Mind my little fingers. I might put on. We just got time to do some points, some circles. Carefully. I've got a dustpan and brush. Let's have a look. Happy, 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 happy. Perfect, perfect. What's that going to be when it's finished? It's going to be a butterfly. Yeah. All your pieces run. All the angles are flowing. You're going to let that dry. And imagine it with the ground on the border and the background. Beautiful. So I'm going to do some spots. We've got some of this gold mirror. I don't know, I did say you could get some fancy glass as well. The mirror stuff has like a backing on it. I think it's like a paint. They paint the back of it with a special paint. So yeah, so you can get some lovely glass. So I tend to put in, you know, a few bits of nice bits that, you know, just catch the light. So I'm going to cut a couple of rectangles, and I'm going to, that's maybe a bit long, a bit shorter, more squares. And I'm just going to, like we did before with the head and the body, I'm just going to nibble, nibble, nibble the corners. Nibble, nibble, nibble. It's gone wrong. Chipped. It's chipped, so I'm going to make it slightly smaller than planned, but carry on. You can get a round shape, that would be good. Yeah, a little round shape. That's going to sit there. Do the same here. That's chipped as well. I've saved it, managed to save it. Yeah. Stick those in. Because again, if we're going to work around them, we need to put those in first. Again, don't put them so you leave like a weird a gap that's too big for grout and too small for the glass. So you could either put that right against the border and we'll work around it that way, or far enough away that we can get a couple of bits in between. I'll leave that to you. So I like to move them away so we can work around them. Because we could border around these, we could border around those as well. Because we've done such a beautiful flowing outside border, in the white we could border around this as well. So Romans, they love bordering, so they would border around that once, twice, 3 times, so the borders would just go on and on and on and spread out. And if you had different images here and here, you know, the borders would meet and one would go under the other one, and that would be the background, that would be the background pattern, which has a Latin name that I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will find out for next time. So there you go, can you see that? Look at that, it's beautiful. So we've done a good job there in an hour and 21 minutes. Shall I pitter and patter about something else, or tell you what we'll do? We will do a couple more spots, and I think that'll be enough for today. What should we do? We'll do 2 more, because I've got this gold, and it's nice gold, so we'll do 2 more spots. I'll do a spot up here and a spot up there. So I think I can get this pretty much done in 4 parts. So again, we'll see what happens with doing some live stuff. I think I might do maybe on Wednesdays. I could do a live video. Then if I could just be live working, I've got projects that I'm working on. And so if you want to, ask me questions about this, or send me any questions if you're doing this on your own at home, with this on repeat and pause. I'll try and think of some jokes and some songs for next time. I thought should have planned some jokes. I'll get some jokes. So there we go. I've just quickly done 2 more. If I stick those down. And we'll have a think about how we want to finish this. I mean, like I said, you could cut strips and then cut strips across like that. You could do a border around the circles. We could do random. We could do triangles. We could do lines going across. You could border it inside as well. Because you've done the outside border, we could do an inside border. Bordering. I love bordering. That's a weird thing to say, but I do. I love bordering. So bordering, we could do bordering. There's different ways of filling it in, but whatever happens, if you're using a different colour in here, the main, again I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the main thing to make your mosaic work is that the pieces run. So if I was filling in there, without cutting them properly, can you see? If I'm using a different colour or a white, as long as the pieces run against each other, when we grout that will become like a white area. If they're slightly off, not so good, and it's not a gold star. So if you want a gold star, your pieces will flow perfectly, and that will form the inside shape. We'll cross that border, cross that bridge next time. So next video, I would think pretty easily we'll get the outside border done, teach you how to do that, the inside of the butterfly done, and I would say maybe even we'll border the outside of the wings, and I'll just go back over the bordering and the angles. And then the final video, is that, how many videos is that? So we'll do the wings, the border, next video. We'll do the background, the video after. And then the final video, wow, I think we're actually ahead of schedule. So I'll do the whole board and we'll do maybe a flower. And then obviously we've got the grouting to do as well. So yeah, I think 4 videos will get you there. And as I say, on Wednesdays and Saturdays, I'll be doing this live on Saturdays. You can message me any comments on the Facebook Live page, or on Wednesdays mornings you can message me as well. And on Wednesdays I'm going to be working just on some stuff I'm working on. I've got a couple of mirrors to do and I'm doing a big landscape. So hope you enjoyed that. Hope you'll get on with that and let me know how you get on. And till next time, adios. Bye.